Okay, the assignment is Chapter 6 under Programming Challenges, number 1. It says Alberta Einstein reaches or teaches a business class at Podunk University. To evaluate the students in this class, she has given 3 tests. It is now the end of the semester, and Alberta asks you to create a program that inputs each student's test scores and outputs the average score for each student and the overall class average. Hint: the outer loop should allow for Miss Einstein to input all the students one by one, and the inner loop should accept the 3 exam scores and compute the average for each student. Now, it doesn't say anything in here about saving the exam scores. It doesn't say anything in here about saving the student's name or any of that stuff. We just need to compute it, okay? So that's going to affect the approach that we take for writing this program. So we know for sure we have 2 loops. So I'm going to go ahead and create right here a function def called main. And if I'm going to create a function called main, I'm going to also execute it right off the bat. So now I know that main is going to run. It says that I'm going to be using a while loop. So what I'm going to do is create a sentinel called done, and I'm going to set it equal to false. Whoops, F-A-L-S-E, just like so. And now it's giving me a nastygram, right? So that didn't work. So let's go done is equal to capital F. And look at that, I have a thing called code completion. It's giving me false as an option. So typing a lowercase f and not seeing it in the list lets me know right away that I've typed it wrong. So uppercase F lets me know that that is correct. And now I'm ready to start working on the while loop. While, again, if I type in an uppercase W, I don't see while in the list anywhere. So it must mean I've typed in something wrong. Lowercase w tells me while right away. Okay, so I type in while, and I say not done. I put in my colon, and I begin writing my code. Now, it's saying to take a top-down approach. The top-down approach basically means that we're going to look at the end and work our way backwards, right? We need a total average. We need an individual student average. We need to be able to collect students. So the main module right away, well, in the main picture, what's one of the first things I need to do? Well, let's collect a student name, right? So I'm going to go name is equal to, I'm using a top-down approach, which means I'm going to use a module to collect the name. So I'm going to say name is equal to get student name, just like so. Well, if I write the name of a module which doesn't exist, it means I'm going to have to come up here and create it, right? So I'll go ahead and say def get, actually I'll double click this or just copy it, spare myself some typing here, put in my colon, hit enter, and I'm ready to get the student name. So I'll type in n is equal to, I know that it's input, but I'm really not sure maybe of the syntax, so I'll type in I for input, and there it is. It gives me the syntax, input prompt. Double click. The prompt is going to be enter student name, right? Enter the student name, and let's send a message that says done to quit. All right, so that lets us know that we need to enter the word done. I might even put it in single quotes just so that it will make it kind of clear to the user. Put in a colon here, put in a space so that it looks nice. So now I've created my little module, but it's not going to get anything back to the main, right? So what I need to do is I say return n, right? And sure enough, there's my variable right there in code completion. Isn't that cool? So we return n, we found a way to get our name. Now we have the student's name. If we're going to get the student's name, because of the way in which we're doing all of this, we might as well just go ahead and output the name right away. So let's see, how do I want to do this? Well, actually I don't want to output it right away. What I do want to do is collect the student scores. Okay, so I'm going to do a little loop for, and I'm going to go dot dot dot, because this is definitely not going to work, right? For dot 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 get student. So you will have to look up a for loop. How do I get a for loop that will count through 3 things, right? And if I do get those 3 things, how do I handle that? Well, I'm going to collect 3 things. Let's go ahead and write a little remark here instead. Remark get 3 scores and divide them by 3, right? Now I can say little message that says the student's name, average, and then the average, right? So you've got to figure out how to calculate the average. Now that's happening inside. I'll get the 3 scores in the inner loop. If I'll get the 3 scores, and if I'm going to get the 3 scores, guess what I'm going to do to get each one of those scores? I'm going to define another function, get scores, right? Or get score, just like so. And if I wanted to, okay, this will say get a single score, S-C-O-R-E, and if I wanted to, I could get another function, DEF, called get scores. No, I'm not going to do that. It's going to make the program too convoluted. So we'll get a single score. We'll test the score for validity. That is it a float? So here's a hint. Google test to make sure user input is a float or integer or whatever you would like to work with. Okay, we'll say float. What they're going to do is they're going to, if they do it right, look for try except blocks. That'll help you to do the test. Hopefully you'll be able to make that fly. Okay, but at any rate, get score is going to be a function, and then it's going to return the actual score. So in the inner loop, we'll tab this in. We'll get 3 scores, one at a time, right? We'll get a score, and then we will add the score to a student score accumulator of some kind. And then when we finally leave the inner loop, we go ahead and say average is equal to whatever our student scores are, accumulator, ACCM divided by 3, because we're going to do this 3 times, right? Inner loop 3x. You see how all this is working? I started from the outside. I'm working my way down to the inside. The 2 modules that you really need to write for this project are get the student name, get the student score, okay? A single score, not all of them. You call this 3 times. You'll get the score 3 times because it's inside an inner loop. Hopefully this is making sense to you guys, okay? With that, I think I will call it done.